Hi everyone, this is Miss Tom with 9.2.1, day 2. So I felt like in the last lesson I went over very briefly how to graph, so this lesson is going to be more targeted on what you notice and how well you can graph things. So first of all, just kind of looking here, when you're looking at the videos, make sure you pause. I really want you to pause and actually think before I tell you the solution. So in Example 1, it says, what do you notice about the shading of the inequalities? So all of them, if you notice, they're all greater than. I purposely made them all greater than. This first one was greater than or equal to, but this is greater than, and this is another greater than or equal to. So first of all, what do you notice about the shading? Where is it shaded? Is it shaded above or shaded below? If you notice, again, making sure you're thinking about this, they're all shaded here. Is this considered above? Yes. Is this considered above? Yes as well. And is this considered above? Yes. So just kind of looking at the patterns here and noticing things, we can notice that when we shade above, it's greater than. And then also something I want you to notice is when you're shading, this is a solid line. This is a solid line when you see the equal to symbol. This is also a solid line because we see the equal to symbol. And then lastly, this right here is a dotted line. It's a dotted line because this is not equal to, it's dashed. Okay, so these are all things. And now if you're wondering what is the point of shading? Why do we shade? Well, we shade this because this right here is all of the solutions. And that's not very well read. Green is not a good color for that, you guys. Red is better. This is all the solutions that X could be. X could be any of these things. X could be any of these things. Is this number considered a solution? The answer is no, because it's not within the set of solutions. So that's something that I think will help you guys a lot when you're doing these. You go, oh, those are solutions. There it is. Now let's go to the next one. Where are the solutions? What do you notice? Again, pause the video. Do you notice something? Well, with this one, the shading of the inequalities, this is less than or equal to, and this is less than as well. Notice where it's shading. Is it shading above or is it shading below? So with my highlighter, I'm going to talk to you guys about where is it. It's all underneath, which means that it's underneath or below. So all of the solutions, when it's less than, it's below. When it's greater than, it's above. So again, what does the shading mean? The shading means that those are all solutions. All of these that are in this area are considered solutions. Is this considered a solution? No. Is this considered a solution? Yes. So again, this is not a solution to the inequality, but all of these are. Like this is also one. And this is also one. All of those are considered solutions. So now that we've noticed these patterns, I didn't want you guys to memorize it. I want you guys to kind of remember why. Greater than kind of makes sense because it's greater than the values, and then less than makes sense because it's less than the values. When it's greater than the values, it's above. When it's less than the values, it's below. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So let's talk about what we notice here. Is the shading above or below? The shading is, did you go up or did you go down? Well, in this case, the shading is considered below. So we're thinking the shading is below, and below means less than. Okay? The next thing we're going to analyze is Well, we're looking at it and it's considered a dashed line. Since it's considered a dashed line, we know this is the inequality. So now all we have to do is we need to figure out what is the y-intercept and what is the slope. Well, the y-intercept, remember, is when it passes this y-intercept, all right? And what we'll notice is right here is where it passes the y-intercept. So that point is considered 0, 3. So the intercept is 3. And then when we look at the slope, it's always rise over run, or rise over run, which is going to be up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is the slope? The change in y over the change in x, which is going to be 1 over 4. So that is your slope. And I'm going to go try that again. And so let's go ahead and write down our inequality now. So we've got the y. The dashed line means that it's this inequality, less than. Then we're going to write down the slope, which is 1/4 x. And then we're going to go ahead and add the y-intercept, which is plus 3. And this is our inequality to the graph. All right, let's continue. What do we notice here? Again, pause the video if you want to try it on your own. Let's do this. So if you notice, is it shaded above or is it shaded below? If you notice right here, it's shaded above. And remember, those all represent the solutions. So since it's shaded above, I'm going to circle above. Then it says, is it dashed or is it solid? And we know it's solid. Since it's solid, we know there's actually going to be this little equal to symbol there because it is solidly above. Now the next thing is we're going to identify what is the y-intercept. So we're going to highlight that y-intercept or y-axis, and we're going to notice where does it cross the y-axis. Is it up here? Is it below here? Oh, it's right there. So it's right over here. That's where it passes the y-axis at 0, -5. So -5 is there. Then we look at the slope. The slope is going to be rise over run. Now, this is a little tricky to do, but luckily they give us a point on the graph right here. They give us this point, and then they also give us the y-intercept. So remember, slope is always change in y over change in x. So what we're going to do is we're going to notice that we go down 1, 2, and then we go over 1. So what is the slope? Slope is -2 over 1. So we'll write down the slope. It's -2 over 1, which is y is equal to, or y is not equal to, what's our inequality? It is greater than or equal to. Then we've got our slope, which is -2 x, and then we're going to say -5. There's the y-intercept, and there's our graph. All right, hopefully we're getting used to it. Again, I'd like you to try the problems on your own, and then we'll talk about it together. Okay, so looking here, is this shaded above or below the line? Well, this would be considered above. This one's considered below. Since it's considered below, we know that it is less than. Now, also we want to notice that it's a solid line. Since it is a solid line, it's going to be equal to. And so that's our inequality in the middle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and identify what is that y-intercept. Highlighting this. What is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is located right over here. 0, negative 2. So that's going to be our y-intercept. And then let's look at the slope here. Let's look at the slope. So in this case, they gave us this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and erase some of this work right here just so you guys can see what is the y-intercept. The y-intercept was 0, negative 2. But let's go over what is the slope. And the slope is going to be, if we go from here to here, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, down 3, over 1, 2, 2, and so the slope is negative 3 over 2. And so what is your inequality? Your inequality is y less than or equal to, the slope was negative 3 over 2, x, and then we've got a minus 2. Alright, so far so good. How'd you guys do? Alright, we're going to go over one last one together, and then that's going to be it for today's lesson. So once again, is this considered above or below the line? If you notice, it's above, so we're going to circle above. Next, it says, is this solid or dashed? This is dashed, which means it does not include this line as part of the solution. So we're going to say this is considered just greater than. And now we're going to go ahead and identify what is the y-intercept. So I'm going to highlight the y-axis. Right over here, you're going to notice the y-intercept is here. 0, negative 3. And what is the slope? Well, luckily they gave us this point here. How do you find the slope? It is change in y over change in x. Let's find out what that is. That's going to be 1 over 1, 2, 3. Alright, over 3. So the slope is 1/3. Alright, and let's go ahead and write down our inequality. It's going to be y is greater than, what's the slope? Slope is 1/3 x. Then we've got a minus 3 because that is the y-intercept. And voila, we've got it. Alright, so for this one, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's a little tricky, but I will go over it, just kind of the solutions for you guys. And the solutions for this one is, if you notice, it's kind of like a straight line, and it's saying that the x value can only be something, and that x value can only be 3. So we don't really have a y-intercept, but we do notice that x is always going to be equal to one number, and that number is 3. If you're kind of like, what, Miss Dom? I don't really understand what's happening. Don't worry, I'll make a table for you guys. This is when y is 0, x is equal to 3. When y is 1, x is equal to 3. When y is 2, x is equal to 3. Y just changes value, but x remains 3. So that means that our inequality is going to be 3 and with our x. But then we notice, is it above or below 3? And we're going to notice all of these numbers are above 3. So then we're going to write the inequality looks like that. And because it's dashed, we're not going to put the equal to symbol, and it's just going to remain greater than. Just like that, and just like that. Alright everybody, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next video.